ladies and gentlemen. Come here. Come on, chickens. Good one. Oh, morning, Greasy. Morning, Teddy Roo. Oh, there's Big Daddy. Morning, Oreo. Morning, Luke. Come here, boys. Oh, there comes Lenny. Morning, boys. Good morning, everybody. It's Todd from Headwaters Homestead. Welcome to the garage. Today, it is January 11th, 2023. We're in Northeast Ohio, and it is an unseasonably warm 34 degrees and mostly cloudy. But because it's warm enough today, we're actually going to get out and work on a project that's been sitting in my garage for a while now. And we're going to take you through the steps of this project, show you what we're building, show you where we intend to use it. If you're all ready, let's go, farm fam. You can see I'm set up just outside the garage today. And one of the reasons we're doing this project is to reclaim some space in the garage. But the other is anticipation of the broiler chicks, which are coming to us in April of this year. So today, we're going to turn this pile of lumber and parts into one of Joel Salatin's chicken tractors. Now, I definitely want to claim that this is not my original idea. I have this idea straight from Joel Salatin's book, Polyface Designs. He gives a complete description of how to build the chicken tractors that he uses on his Shenandoah Valley farm. Some of the stuff that we're going to be using today, we've got a length of about 8 foot of rubber hose. Of course, we've got our lumber in various dimensions, but mostly we're working with 2x4x12s and 1x6x12s to build the structure. We've got some 12 gauge wire that's going to be used for tensioning and strength in the frame. It's also going to be useful for the handles when we go to move this chicken tractor about. Now, Joel breaks it down perfectly in the book, down to exactly how many screws of each type you need. I plan on building more chicken tractors in the future, so I just went ahead and got a box of each of the different types of screws and fasteners that he recommends for the build. I also got a box of poultry staples. We're going to use those in place of the regular heavy-duty staples that are recommended for holding the chicken wire. There's a small bag of mixed nuts and bolts that we're going to need. Very small though, those parts, so I did buy those individually. But because I know nothing ever goes perfectly every time you do it, I did make sure to buy a couple extra of each, just in case something gets stripped or broken. Got a couple of different sizes of chicken wire, and that's going to come in handy for going around the perimeter of the build. That's what's going to keep our chickens in place, make some of the shelter that's going to protect them from the wind, give them a place in the shade to get in, and give them a place of safety inside the chicken tractor build. As far as tools, there's not a lot needed. We're going to be using, of course, a tape measure and our speed square. I'm going to use the heavy-duty stapler just to hold some of the pieces of chicken wire in place until I can get them more secured. We've got our fencing hammer, a drill, a couple of sort of drill bits, and I always need a good hammer. Now, provided all these get built into that chicken tractor design, that's going to come in handy. And in early summer, we're going to be processing the chickens here on our poultry processing equipment that we just got at the beginning of the year. All right, so that's the different pieces and parts that are going to go into our build. Out here we've got our miter saw and our table saw ready to go. So let's go ahead and get to it, and I'll walk you through what we're doing. So the first part of any project is going to be making your right measurements. That is after you've gotten your materials. I'm using 2x4s here, but standard 2x4s, wherever you get them from, are typically only going to be 3.5 inches wide. So we're going to have to measure this carefully. And what we're going to do is we're going to rip these right down the center. So they are going to give us two individual pieces out of each of these 2x4x12s. That'll give us some 2x2s to work with on the project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out, and here you can see that these are 3.5 inches for your 2x4s. So half of that 3.5 inches is going to be 1.75, which is about here. Now you want to mark these as close as accurate as possible. The blade that we're using today to cut these down is about 1/16 of an inch wide, so we're going to lose a little over 1/16 of an inch, but if we do it right down the center, we should end up with two identical pieces of lumber that we're going to call 2x2s. All right, so I've got my guard set to that 1.75 dimension that we just measured off of those logs, off of those pieces of wood, and we've got our guard set here, so it should give us a fairly accurate cut. We'll leave this guard up just so you can see the saw as it rips through the wood here, but let's go ahead and make our first cut, and then we're going to verify that we got our measurements right, so all our pieces are going to be identical, and then we'll work our way through the wood. Here we go. Alright, I've already ripped down the 2x4s into 2x2s. There are 4 of them totaling 12 foot long each. And we're going to make some secondary cuts on those to get those down to the sizes we need. Next, I'm going to go ahead and open up the guard a little bit. We're going to set this at 2 3/4. What that will do is when we run that 2x6x12 through here, that 2x6x12 is only 5.5 inches wide. So that 2.75 is going to be right in the middle. It's going to rip right down the line there. Again, we only have about 1/16 of an inch being taken out by this saw as it cuts through. So we're going to run one of those through, get that down, and keep on working through the wood. That's that. We're just about to make the very last cut for today. After this, we've got all our lumber trimmed down to sides, and we can move on to assembly. Here we go. All right, that's got it done. We've got all our lumber trimmed down to specifications, and now we can actually start building our new broiler shelter. All right, so we're done with our first portion of the broiler shelter build. We've made quite a bit of man glitter today, sawdust that is. All that's left is to do a little bit of cleanup, and we're going to be ready to start assembling our broiler shelter. You can see that Joel Salatin in his book could not have made it any easier on us. All the dimensions were there to cut the lumber that I had down into all the component parts that we are going to need to build the broiler shelter. That's a promise I made to my son, was that he and I would work on this together. He looked at the images in the book on how to build this, the guide, and he said, hey, it's just like a Lego set. So he's actually quite excited to get into the build with me. So I am going to save the second phase for that. But you can see we've got all our lumber cut down, and we're ready to move on to step 2 of actually building out the frame of the broiler shelter. Very last steps will be putting on the chicken wire. It's going to keep our birds inside. And by the time that we're ready, I will have picked up some corrugated and sheeting, and that's going to be the roof and the sides that provide shelter for our birds. Only downside to the winter is sunset comes pretty early, though we're gaining a couple of minutes every day. This is a great time on the little farm we've got here. I think the chickens are still out back. Oh yeah, they found their way in with the tractor. They're chilling out in the backyard. All right, farm fam, that's going to be it from the garage today. Hope you've enjoyed our work here building the chicken tractor or broiler shelters. Special thanks to Joel Salatin for publishing the book Polyface Designs. That's where we got all the plans and specifications for the broiler shelters we're going to be using. It's real simple, step by step, and I'm actually looking forward to building the rest of it. Hope you liked what you saw today. If you do, continue to follow us, check us out, see what we're doing, and we'd love to see from you. We'd love to see what you're growing. We'd love to see what you're building, what you've got. This is an awesome community that's all about sharing resources and learning together and growing together. So we would love to watch you grow as well. All right, y'all. Have a good one, farm fam.